Week, the story of corporate bigwig and diplomat Gladys Some-Mwangi. This is What's Your Story? Good evening and welcome to tonight's incredible episode of What's Your Story. You know I am privileged that you made the time this week yet again to tune in because the story that awaits you tonight. So this is the deal. If you have someone you know undergoing trauma, or their relationship is in trouble, or they have lost a loved one, or they're in the corporate world and balancing just a million balls in the air, then this is where you WhatsApp them and say, tune in to What's Your Story. Even if they can't, then anyway, you know the show will repeat and we'll have it on YouTube because my guest tonight, first of all, is a celebrated author. Her name is Miss Gladys Some. As you can see, she has a book written, Beyond Trauma, I Now Thrive, Story and Lessons from a Diplomat and Communications Expert. You see my sticky notes. I'm not sure we'll be able to do this in 1 hour, but it can only mean that you get the book for yourself. Intriguing story ahead, and I am honored to have you on the show, Miss Some. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Catherine, for having me.
You are so gentle and gracious, my goodness. And you don't look like what you've been through.
Do I?
No, you don't. But it does not show on you whatsoever. But no, it's the truth. It's really the truth. And first, congratulations, because I know authoring a book is not easy. And this is the book of the story of your life, a chapter that's still unfolding anyway. Because
Absolutely.
I don't think it's like an autobiography. Mm-hmm. There's so much more yet for you to do with your life. But this is about the things you've been through. So Beyond Trauma, first, a very captivating title. We'll get there. I know the audience is waiting for what trauma did she go through? What trauma did she go through? But let's start with, I was very drawn to first your relationship with your dad, your late dad. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, what a beautiful, tender relationship you both had. So let's go first to your background. What was it like growing up?
Oh, well, thank you. That's a very wonderful question, okay. Catherine. I remember my childhood with a lot of nostalgia.
Yeah.
I grew up in the village. Mm-hmm. I'm a village girl. Mm-hmm. And my relationship with my parents was just like any other girl in the village, yeah, who actually was always reprimanded and told to do this, do the other, yeah, and all that. Yeah. But it was quite a very wonderful relationship, yes, that I had with my parents. Yes. My father, Samuel Some Maswai was his name, and unfortunately he passed on in 1999. Yeah. Quite a very sad thing. Yes. But the wonderful times that I had with my dad were really, the years were rich. Yes. Very, very rich, because the relationship with my dad was very, very different from any other that I have seen and had from other peers and friends. Yes. Because I remember, and I think I speak about it, that at one point, people, when I would come from school, in fact, I was in high school at that time, and I would meet my dad in town at a hotel in Kitale town, and we would sit down with him, and people would be thinking, what is this man doing with a small girl? Mm-hmm. Thinking that I'm a girlfriend to my dad because of the way, how we related. Yes. But my dad was always very open. He was a disciplinarian, first of all. Number one, he was a disciplinarian. Okay. He always wanted every one of his children to go to school, and to not just to go to school, but to do very well. And anyone who related, even friends, he vetted friends. And your friends? Yes. Oh, yes. And he never wanted anything less than a university degree from a man who would probably date his daughter. Wow.
Wow. Standards.
Exactly. Yes. He was very passionate about education, and that's one thing I really forever appreciate my dad for.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Let me quote something here you said in the book. Mm-hmm. By the way, I forgot to say to you guys, Miss Gladys is currently the corporate affairs manager at Kenya Reinsurance Company. And she's also a former diplomat. She'll tell us all about her career. So, yeah, I'm sorry I let that out. So please, look at her like that. And she also started in the newsroom. Oh, yes. So we have a lot in common.
Absolutely.
We'll come there. We'll come to your career maybe in the second part of the show. Mm-hmm. But let me come to something you said about your dad, which I thought was very, very special. So Yeah, so you're speaking about your father's passing on. And then you say you're remembering him and saying, my father's presence had been therapeutic, especially for me as the family's youngest member. So you're the last one.
Yes, I am.
So are you spoiled?
No, I wish.
Yeah, you're grounded. So his nickname, tell me about his nickname. B-A-T.
Yes, B-A-T.
Yes.
It was the short of Baiwat Acteta.
Yeah.
In Kalenjin, that means a seed and a cow. That's what my dad did quite a lot for a living. He was a farmer and he kept cows and cattle and goats, sheep, and always did farming of maize, wheat, and I remember sunflower also.
I love sunflowers.
Yes.
The flower itself.
Yes,
Yeah,
the sunflowers.
I love that, yeah. And then you say, so many people sought his advice.
Yes.
So from, the high and mighty to the ordinary Mwananchi, everyone just, so your father was this light.
Absolutely.
What do you think why that was the case?
My dad had quite another level, admirable kind of wisdom where everybody in the village always looked up to him. And not only, we came from two villages where, of course, I had a stepmom who lived in Nandi side, and my mom lived in Kitale, Trans Nzoia. And so in both homes, he was always looked up to, even by the mighty and the powerful in the country at that particular time. He was an advisor even to the mighty in the land. And no wonder during his burial, even the head of state had to come for his burial. And there was quite a lot of, hula baloo about him. But I would say because of his personality and his wit in handling quite a lot of complex issues. And when people had complex matters, especially in politics, matters of politics, or even relationships at home and all that, they came to my father. And he always had a voice of reason. And he always had a solution. Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that you're establishing your background, especially where your parents are concerned. And I needed for the audience to hear about your dad, because you're going somewhere. We are going somewhere. This story is going somewhere. So your mom, because of course your mom has been a great influence in your life. Can you tell us about
woman.
her? Yes.
My mama is a lovely lady. She's called Eunice Chepsoge and Some. She is now 89 years old.
Praise God.
We thank God for that. And so I found quite a lot of strength in my mother. And a lot of wisdom in my mother. My mother never drank, never smoked, and she was always that woman who wanted to make her home. And always wanted to bring up her children in a godly way. That is one thing I credit my mother for, is bringing us in a godly way and always reminding us that God is there, God wants us to live this way and the other. And she always led by example. So emulating my mother's example has been a very great strength for me. And she's also a woman full of wisdom.
Wow.
And a unifying factor. She always, even when we would differ among ourselves, among the siblings, my mother would never want to get in between that. Never. She would even want, you would not go to my mom and start reporting the other one or trying to say the other one is bad. No, she'll find a way to make you understand that the other one also is her child and he or she is still good.
That's powerful. That's powerful. So that's such a strong family unit. So that makes me understand, therefore, when you got married eventually, and we'll come there, I've jumped quite a bit, you wanted a family like the one you grew up in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly what I wanted. And when I met my husband, my boyfriend then, he introduced me to his family. And at that time, I remember his mother telling me that we have never known where he lives in Nairobi, and we don't even know where he stays. And so I now made it upon myself to invite them, make them know where we are, where we live, and always invite them to our home and try to make them you know, just be together the way we have always been together.
Yes.
And so I always wanted us to live together as a unit that loves, everybody loving one another.
Yes.
That was actually the kind of family I always wanted to have.
When they finally met him, did they approve of him?
My parents. Now, my father had already passed on.
Yes.
My mom had no issue,
Okay.
but of course, there was always the tribe issue, you know.
Yes.
He comes from the mountain, I come from the Rift Valley.
Yes.
And there was always that thought that Kikuyus can't marry Kalenjins, Kalenjins can't marry Kikuyus. Are you sure that, you know, all the stereotypes that are there?
Yes,
you get it?
Yeah.
And so it was not very easy in the beginning.
Yeah.
And eventually, of course, when now things fell apart at some point, when our relationship didn't work, I got pregnant out of wedlock, and you know, my boyfriend, my sweetheart, then was nowhere to be seen, and everybody reminded me and said, "You see,
we told
didn't
you.
we tell you? Yes, this is. I mean, this is what we told you from the beginning, but you never listened."
Yeah.
But I think I was already adamant and determined to make it work.
Make it work, yeah.
That was the thing.
Yeah,
yes.
We'll come there. So tell us how you met him. I know you already, I think you were an intern, if I remember well, at KBC.
Yes.
Yes, so tell us about that experience and, you know, first of all, why journalism was attractive to you at that age.
Yeah, as I grew up, I always wanted, I used to listen to the radio, and I think everyone remembers how KBC used to be. And I always wanted to be a broadcaster, ever. And so, or to work in a media house.
Yeah.
And so, fortunately, after high school, I went to Daystar University to study communications. I actually started with a diploma and later on did a degree in the same university in communications. You're aware that Daystar is very good with communications.
Yes.
And so after, of course, one of the requirements was that you have to do an internship in a media house to be able to graduate. And so I went to KBC. I remember that time it was very difficult to get, even to get internship. But I personally, people were using relatives and you know, people who they knew to try and get
the
this.
Godfather thing.
Yes, I didn't have any myself. So I walked into this, and I was told by my colleagues and my fellow students that KBC was now full. They were not taking any interns anymore. And if you have to go for internship, you have to pay 2,000 shillings per month as an intern. That was actually the standard, and it was a legal process and procedure within the station. Yes. So I boldly walked into this office and asked who is in charge of the internships. I went to him. Already I have been told there's no longer any vacancy. But for a reason or another, I think the confidence that was on my face made this guy say, okay. So when do you want to start? I said, even tomorrow, if you want me to. So the guy actually allowed me and told me, okay, go and pay 2,000 shillings to the accounts office, bring me the slip.
Yes.
And that's exactly what I did and got internship.
Yeah.
There was a roommate of mine, because I was doing the internship during the day, and in the evening I would go for evening classes because I still had some units to finish. And so I got a room on campus, in the Nairobi campus, and I was staying with this girl called Janet, who was doing, I think, commerce. And one thing Janet used to tell me, you know, when you go for internship, because she was also interning at the cooperative bank, to tell me, you go dressed like you're going to work. And that's exactly what I did. You know, there used to be nice mtumba clothes that would be sold around. On the streets. So I would buy a nice skirt, a nice blouse, good shoes, so that when I go to work, I look like a serious official at work. And going to work, one thing is that I got a very good mentor in the newsroom. That was Richard Chacha. And he was an excellent mentor. He would tell me, when you come very early in the morning, so that when the chief news editor is assigning work, she's able to give you something to do for the day and ask for work. That's exactly what I did.
Right.
The mentorship and the training that I got at KBC, I think, is what made me who I am today, because there was need for discipline. And I can never forget again the fact that even while I was at KBC, nobody would know the challenges that I was going through, because then of course of course they absorbed me later on after the internship.
Yes.
They called me back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were about 4 interns from the same university. And I was the only one who was called back.
Wow.
Yes. I thought that was a privilege, actually, and a great honor. But remember the words of my friend Janet, work like you are an employed person in that place.
Yes.
So don't care. I did it like I was part of the team. I didn't do it. I didn't want to remember that I'm the one actually paying 2,000 per month to be here. And I would leave late after my news item has been, because that time even interns were not being allowed to voice their news items, but yet I was privileged to voice my news items. And even one time, the editor-in-chief asked me now to start reading news in Kiswahili. He actually gave me one day, told me, he called me, and he was very, very strict. Mr. Mosheke was very, very strict. He called me to his office and said, I like your Kiswahili. I want you to go and practice on the teleprompter from tomorrow, 4, and at 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock news, you'll be reading in Kiswahili. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. First of all, I only thought only beautiful people are supposed to be on screen. And I didn't consider myself beautiful at all.
Gosh.
Yes. So anyway, thankfully that happened, and I was able to start reading news on Kiswahili, Kiswahili. And one time apart from that, I continued still with the reporting.
Yes.
And so one time I had come back, he assigned me the Golden Bag Inquiry to be reporting. So I had come back with my news item. And then again, he asked me to go. Then there was the intelligence minister, I think in internal security. It was the internal security minister who had called for a press conference. And the boss insisted that I have to go. And I wasn't very happy. Because I've just come back from the Golden Bag. I haven't edited my story. It needs to be aired, meaning I have to go, come back and do this other one before I'm back on the other one. So anyway, I went, and when I got to this, of course, the conference room, and I saw people were sitting. I was even one of the last people to go in. So there was this gentleman who looked at me and said, hi. And I looked behind to see
who is he saying hi
to? Who is this saying hi? And he was smiling. I looked at him, and anyway, I said hi. And I went to the corner, stood, because all the seats were occupied. So the minister came, made his statement, and I asked him. I was always very vocal and asking questions. I always asked questions, even those ministers. I never feared. So I asked questions, and immediately after the press conference, I was in a hurry to go back to the newsroom. Remember, I still have a story I haven't edited, and this one is another one that is also very important of national security. So there's this guy now, the same guy followed me very fast to the lifts, and the lifts then that time at OP were not working very well. So I realized, we're going to be wasting time waiting for this lift. So I started going down the stairs. The guy is still following me. Then I look back and I'm like, who is this? I mean, why are you following me? So he said, oh, by the way, I just wanted to know what's your name. So I said, he said, what was your name again? I said, I never told you my name. And then he said, okay, well, sorry, my name is so-and-so. I work for VOA. And we were in the press conference together, and I thought you were very good at asking questions. Would you kindly give me your number so that we can be able to exchange the notes, because I may not have gotten everything. I could consult. So the guy, I gave him my phone number very quickly. and left him there. So he asked, oh, do you have a vehicle that is dropping you back at the office?
Yeah.
I said, of course, the way I came is the way I'm going. And left him there and ran. So I went back to the newsroom, did my editing. Around 5, 6, when I'm about to leave, I see this, because he had given me his number. I see the phone ringing, and it's the same guy. I ignored it.
Yeah.
Then later again, he calls, and I say, okay, let me just pick it.
Yeah.
He says, oh yeah, I'm so-and-so. I'm the same person we met at the press conference. Is it possible to have coffee with you? I'm like, no, I'm so busy. We'll talk about it later. It was a week later that now, again, he called when I was,
You forgot?
Completely. I had forgotten him completely because he was not in my mind.
Yes.
And not even in my wildest dreams that I would even get to know this man or consider him.
Lord.
So one Sunday, I'm coming back from church and I'm crossing the road, and then he calls. And then it was around 10 in the morning. He says, oh, how are you? I'm fine. And he says, oh, I was just wondering, is it possible to
have coffee
with you again? And I said, okay, where? Well, so he asked, where do you live? I said, why are you asking me where I live? That's not even important. Yes, that's not important. So anyway, and I said I was going home, and for sure I was going back to my house after church.
Yeah.
So he says, well, I told him where I live, and he said he was going to come and pick me from there for the coffee.
Relentless pursuit.
Yes. And sure enough, he actually came.
Oh, wow.
We met, picked me. We went and he took us. I was with my friend. And my friend was going home. He had this nice car, and I was just thinking, this guy must have borrowed this car. He can't be having a car. Yeah.
Oh,
so anyway, after we dropped my friend, we went, he took me then to Carnival. For me, gosh, I had never been to Carnival.
I know, right?
I only used to hear it because it's too expensive for me. Anyway, I can't afford to go to such a place.
Game meat is not cheap.
Yes. Yeah, so that is how, and he was interested in being a friend. I was so naive then.
Yeah.
That's how I met
How
Mr.
old were
Mwangi.
you?
I must have been 20, I think 24,
25. Yeah.
Almost, yes.
Yeah. So that is how you met.
That's how we met.
Mr. Mwangi.
And one thing led to another. And eventually.
And eventually, Mr. Mwangi is the core. This book title will come there. It's sad, it grips you, but then it has also a very beautiful ending. We take a quick break.
Yeah.
Then we come to that relationship with Mr. Mwangi that produced 2 very beautiful children. One also who is an author, Neema Mwangi. She's actually here in this studio. Story with me, Catherine Mwangi, here at the Holiday Inn 2 Rivers. We are having a conversation with Miss Gladys Some. And so far we have established her background, her parents, and the wisdom and the values that she grew up in, which is incredibly fortunate and such a blessing, of course. And also how she was just relentless and determined to get that internship at KBC. And before we went to the break, we spoke about how Mr. Mwangi pursued her, from the lifts which are not working at this government institution, all the way down the stairs, to him going home to pick her up for a meal at the carnivore where she hadn't been before. And one thing led to another, and Gladys and Mwangi got into a relationship. So, part one of your relationship, because a relationship, I think, it has its own, it has different legs, so to speak. So, Mwangi courting you and being the man of your dreams, so to speak, those very first days. What was that like?
Wow.
Oh, wow.
It was a beautiful love story.
Wow, okay.
I think I had never loved a man the way I loved Mwangi. And I think it's the way he did it. It's the way he loved. It's the way he was acting, of course, like a gentleman.
Yes.
He was the gentleman.
Yeah.
And I think the love bombing that came with it was just out of this world.
Yes.
A girl had never been loved like that before. And one is that she had never imagined that she can get this very handsome looking guy. He was very handsome and always affirmed me, you know, always told me how good a girl I was. And of course, there were so many other women who pursued him.
Yes.
And I, being the one he had actually identified and chosen, to be the one, oh my, drove me crazy.
So it was love, fairy tale love,
Absolutely,
I like to call it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it was not every day that you'd get a very handsome guy looking for this girl.
And an intelligent one.
Oh, you know?
That.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So our relationship with Mwangi was very, very, and he was a very interesting and patient guy. Because when he came into my life, there was this gentleman who had just, I had met in a church event for the young adults. And this guy had never proposed to me, but because I was this outgoing person during this church event, he actually assumed that I liked him, and I was already in a relationship with him.
Church boys, please, just say the words, okay?
Exactly, you're right. They never say it. You know, they just assume that you're in a relationship.
Imagine,
so this young man assumed we were in a relationship. He would send gifts, flowers to my office. I would get food over lunch hour. And, you know, quite a lot of, you know, things that he would buy for me. So I was confused. I didn't know whether I'm in a relationship with this guy or not.
What is this?
Yes, but he assumed we were already an item.
An item.
And for him, he was not looking just for a relationship. He wanted a wife.
A wife, yeah.
He was above 40. I was still in my 20s. And so he immediately told his mom then that he had found a lady he wanted to marry. So one time he insists we have to go and visit his mom. And so we go. And deep in my heart, I am still not very sure. This is a relationship I want to get into. But because I was a Christian, I did not want to disappoint another fellow Christian. So
you went.
I was just being led on.
Yeah.
And I think being naive and thinking that, and I think that's one thing that girls need to realize. If you have no chemistry, please don't force yourself. You just have to have that chemistry with a man for you to be able to think that you're in a relationship with them.
Yeah.
So he even went home. He came home to my mom. And when he came, I had actually gone to visit my mom. And then he actually insisted on coming. And while I left him with my mom in the sitting room while I was making some tea or something for the visitor, he told my mom that he wants to marry his daughter. So my mom comes to tell me in the kitchen, this man says he wants to marry you. I'm like, what? I was very disgusted, Catherine.
Yeah.
Because I had not thought about it. I have not, first I do not know this man so well. But anyway, I think because of that naivety that I had, I allowed everything to start flowing. The guy started planning for an engagement. They came for an engagement home. But meanwhile, there's Mwangi that I have met that I love.
Yeah. So wait, so they're planning for this wedding, marriage, whatever, negotiations,
Yes.
and there's Mwangi here who your heart has already melted into
Exactly.
his. Okay.
Yes. And there's already, I even told Mwangi, you know, I'm already in a relationship with this person and we are getting married. And he never bothered. He never actually said anything. And I remember when we'd meet with my friends, and my friends would tell him, I mean, Mwangi, do you know this girl is getting married? And Mwangi would say, kutangulia sio kufika. That's the word I will forever remember. He kept telling my friends, kutangulia sio kufika. And sure enough, like I said in my book, I talk about how when we were going for my engagement now with this other guy, Mwangi is the one who dropped me to the bus stop. Actually, he dropped me at the bus stop in the evening. Then it was their Kamba bus station. He ensured I was settled, even bought me a packet of, I think, cupcakes or something, and juice, at least for the journey, and said, okay, when you're ready to come back, let me know. I'll pick you again. So we went.
Behold, what manner of man is this?
Exactly, you know? So even during the engagement party in the evening, he called to find out, so how did the event go? I said it was nice, everything went well and all that. I said, okay, fine. So when are you coming back? It was the next day. I was going back to Nairobi, back to work. So he was there again to pick me at the bus stop and take me home.
My God.
Yes. Hey. And again, he kept repeating, kutangulia sio kufika.
So how did it flip? Wacha kutuweka suspense. Ili usiutuweke suspense, please. Ili flip. How did it flip?
So one time, now we've already even, they have announced, you know, the wedding is going to be taking place. We've even, he's bought me, of course the ring had been bought, he bought me the ring. He even bought me the wedding shoes and everything. We've gone. My girls had already made their clothes for the event and all that. And then 2 weeks now to the pre-wedding, I thought about it. And for sure, my heart was not there. No. And he had also realized that this relationship doesn't seem to be leading anywhere. Yeah. And so he started throwing tantrums, which was rightful. And I think it was right for him. Yeah. And I think maybe I was waiting for that.
To get your escape.
Yes. So one day he called me for a meeting in town after work and said we needed to talk. So we went to this restaurant. As we were talking, he shouted and even hit the table. I'm like, I realize now this is not even the person that I know.
This is not the church boy.
Yes, this is not the church boy I know. He was too polite for this kind of thing. So he said, I am thinking even this thing is not working. So even you don't listen to me. You don't give me time even. You're always, you know, busy with your friends and not giving me enough time with you. So I said, so what do you want us to do? He said, I think we need to go slow. I said, don't go slow. Let's cancel this thing.
Cut it off.
Yes. So I am not, I picked my phone, called my mom, told my mom, there's no wedding, there's no pre-wedding taking place. And it's over between me and this guy. And that was it. And I left him there. I think I gave him, I removed my ring, left it there.
The movie style, what we see in the movies.
And I walked away and went. So,
Lakini Gladys, you had to wait for it to get there. After the Rurashio, what do you call it in the one for Kalenjin's or Rurashio?
Yes,
it's called what?
Koito.
Yeah, Koito.
Yes,
yeah,
they had come for
after
that.
all that?
Yes.
Actually, now you're being dramatic.
Completely. So I think I was being led on by the fact that I wanted to be the good girl. I wanted not to disappoint
Good girl
anyone.
syndrome. Yes.
That's the thing. And it's something very, very wrong, ladies. Don't get there.
Yes.
I mean, if you don't love someone, just don't go ahead with that relationship. Yeah. And it's not wrong. It's okay. You don't have to love everybody.
Yeah, no.
You can only love the person who actually you love.
Your heart loves, yeah.
Yes.
And also tell them, if you're not sure, ask.
Exactly. That's the thing. I didn't ask. I never told anyone. I just continued being led on and being led on. And even when now, you know, these acts of good acts by a man, you know, buying new gifts, he always did anything I wanted. But that doesn't mean that it will turn your heart into loving. No. Those are just material things.
We have refused.
No.
Ask.
Yes.
What is this we are having here? What you define it?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I did it then for the church.
Yes.
I did it then not to hurt the guy, not for me. A relationship should be for you, girl, not for the other person, first of all. Think about it. Think about yourself.
Yes.
Are you going to be miserable for the rest of your life trying to impress someone or trying to impress the church or trying to impress other people, not to look bad? No, you can't live like that. You'll be in prison for the rest of your life.
Yes.
And so immediately I left. I called my Mwangi.
My Mwangi. Mwangi was called. Kutangulia si kufika.
Yes, my kutangulia si kufika he was not even in town. He told me, oh, hi, I'm in Nyeri. So I told him, you know what? I have broken up with the so-and-so. So he said, oh, sorry, what happened? I said, I gave this little story about it. So he said, don't worry, just go home, take, a nap, or relax. I'll come later in the evening.
Mwangi was smooth, eh?
Very smooth.
Dude is smooth, eh?
Very smooth. And so, sure enough, in the evening, he was there.
Wow.
And from there, in fact, he planned for a holiday. We went on a holiday.
Kutoa hizo manini za watu wa church.
Yes, and I switched off my phone and nobody knew where I was. And that's how now the relationship with Mwangi started.
Yeah. So the roses with Mwangi, which we have felt, even sitting here, and I read the book.
Yes.
And I'm feeling it again.
Yes.
Those roses, is in the interest of time, turned into thorns.
Yes.
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 Talk to us about that season, the thorny season.
Now, coming to Mwangi, of course, it was a time of solace. You've just, come out of this relationship.
Whirlwind.
Yes. And now you're getting into a relationship you thought was the very best that you had gotten in your life. Only to realize that things were not as you thought. Now, Mwangi would make disappearing acts without letting me know where he's gone. This relationship was not going the way I had thought it would. Then I got pregnant. Meanwhile, now I've started working in a Christian radio station. I'd already started working in a Christian radio station. Yeah. And of course, being in a relationship with a non-believer was one of the things that, and every time I was always reminded by some of the friends that we worked with, the church will not approve of your relationship.
Yoked.
Yes, you are unequally yoked with an unbeliever. Well, I also advocate that people who are Christians should marry Christians and people who are born again should marry born again. But anyway, my heart loved.
Your heart loved whom your heart loves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this particular time, I start realizing that things aren't going the way they were. Then now, the worst of it came. I got pregnant. Pregnant out of wedlock. You will not continue working in a Christian station with pregnancy. You even are a broadcaster. So
your name is known.
My name is known.
Gladys is pregnant.
Yes, out of wedlock.
Yeah.
As if that was not enough, just when I told Mwangi that I'm pregnant, Mwangi, I remember that time, in fact, I was seated in his house telling him how pregnant I was.
Yeah.
So he asked me, so what are you going to do about it? I'm like, what? What am I going to do about it? So what do you want me to do about it? I mean, you've always said we are an item and you want to marry me, so? What do you mean, what am I going to do about it?
What are you saying?
Yes, what are you saying? And then he told me, oh no, he's busy. Can we talk about it later and all that? We'll discuss about it. So he left and went. And for like 2 or 3 days, he wasn't picking my calls. He wasn't talking to me. Only for me to learn from someone else that he was with another lady who had just, in fact, it was a white lady. She was a CEO of a certain company. Kumbe, they had been in a relationship for a very long time. It was actually, the relationships were running concurrently, you know. Yet I didn't know. Mm-hmm. And so this lady has just delivered a baby. And so he was busy in hospital with her. And little did I know, and I think this time when I'm now saying I am pregnant.
He's like, what?
So his world is also now coming down. You know, he doesn't know.
He can't process it.
Yes, he's just had a baby, and then this other one is pregnant. Yes. How do I deal? So, and he knew, and I told him clearly, you know very well that I work in a Christian station. I will not continue working there. Yeah. I will be fired, definitely. For him, I think at that time, he was in a fix.
Yeah.
And I think he told me, he didn't even say it. Mm-mm. You know, these men never say it.
It's the actions that speak for them. It's the actions that
speak louder than words.
Yes.
So I realized I'm on my own. He never came back again. I now started, where I was living, it was a place where you would not live when you're pregnant. There were rules in that place. So I had to find ways of getting another place to live. And the short and long and short of it is that Mwangi was not there the entire period I was pregnant. And I, of course, lost my job in the Christian station. Of course, then Bishop Oginde was the senior pastor then, and of course in charge. And we had a conversation. I am the one who actually went and told him. Of course, the pregnancy had not been seen.
Okay.
I'm the one who went and told him I am actually pregnant.
Yes.
And it is out of wedlock. And so eventually I was actually told it is important for you to resign. I didn't resign. Anyway, I had to lose the job anyway. So I lost the job and struggled, but somehow God always brings in people. I remember the gynecologist I used to see then. And when I lost my job, it was not possible to continue seeing him. And so I didn't go for an appointment one time. But you know, there are people who are good in this world. So the secretary to the gynecologist called me the next day to say, the doctor wants to speak to you. So the doctor asks, you didn't come for the appointment yesterday. What happened? I said, doctor, I no longer have a job and I'm not able to afford the fees of coming to see you again every month. And so now I actually went to a city council. There was a nearby city council clinic, which I went to. So I told him I went to the city council clinic because that's what I would be able now to afford going forward.
Yeah.
So he told me, no, I want to see you tomorrow in my clinic. You just come, I will see you. So I actually went. I was crying the entire period when I was with the doctor. You know what that doctor told me? His name is Dr. Moreo. Dr. Moreo told me, I'll continue seeing you for the entire period. I will also deliver you. You will pay me one day when you get a job.
My God. And those are the people in the book you refer to as angels on assignment.
Absolutely.
I remember that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Then this lady comes and offers me a house and said, you don't have to pay me. You pay me when you get a job. So I had accommodation. I had the doctor. And eventually, when I delivered, Dr. Moreo delivered me. And fortunately, actually, a month before I delivered, I got a job. You just won't believe. I got a job at Nairobi Water Company then. And the director of human resource was such an excellent, wonderful lady called Celestine Kiuluku. Celestine Kiuluku, may the Lord bless your heart wherever you are. Because she was very kind enough to accept me in my status. And I explained to her that I was ready to work. And she actually, asked me the question when I went to pick the appointment letter. She said, "Are you pregnant?" I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "Do you know, we don't usually employ pregnant people." I'm like, "I am willing to work. I won't need, maybe I will just need a week after delivery."
Jesus.
And she asked me, "Is this your first pregnancy?" I said, "Yes." Then she said, "That's why you're talking like that. You do not
you have no
go
idea.
to work after 1 week." And so she really helped me to navigate through that period. And this company was such an excellent company because immediately I even delivered my baby. They actually gave me very long normal maternity leave. And the CEO, together with my boss then and other people, came to visit. And the kind of shopping that they did for me and my baby lasted us 6 months, I am telling you.
Wow.
These are the people that I call angels on assignment.
Yes.
Remember, it is just a secular institution.
Yes.
They are not Christians, but yet they embraced me that way.
What a blessing. So at what point did Mwangi come back? Because he did.
Yes, he did. When Nema was 9 months old.
9 months?
Yeah, Nema was 9 months old.
Yeah.
Nema is learning things
Nema
now.
is like,
for a reason, he had the language.
He smoothed his way back into your heart.
Extremely smooth guy.
Us Mwangis, we are like that.
Oh, yes. I see. Yes, the Mwangis are like that. Even Nema is like that.
Even Nema
is like that. She's Mwangi. They are so smooth. So he came back and apologized. And now this time round, he's even ready to go and meet my parents. The engagement happened. The wedding eventually happened.
Yes.
We got married. It was quite a beautiful thing. I mean, I've been looking forward to this anyway.
Yeah,
this was,
prayers answered.
Yes, prayers answered. But wait, before even those prayers were answered, there were so many things that, in between that happened. People coming to pray. You will hear about Waombezi in the book.
You went to the witch doctors.
Yes, all those ones.
Looking for answers.
Yes, looking for answers.
Yes.
You will run helter-skelter everywhere, trying to get a solution.
Yes.
But let me tell you, there can never be any other solution apart from God and yourself. It has to be you. You have to actually have that strong mind and strong will to know that you are capable without even that man saying you're beautiful or you are enough. You are enough just as you, Catherine. We are always, I think, as women, we beat ourselves so much. We are always thinking we are not good enough. And so when our relationships fail, we start doubting ourselves. We start thinking it is about us.
Yeah.
No, it's never about us.
No.
We need to actually be kind to ourselves. We need to realize it is beyond us sometimes.
Yes.
And actually, many other women go through the same. Many other people go through the same. It's not just about us. So when we realize that, we start drawing strength and start learning to appreciate ourselves and our weaknesses and our, building our strength.
Yes.
So when Mwangi came back, for a reason or another, I think my self-esteem had already completely
down there.
down.
Yes.
I was no longer pursuing the things I always wanted to pursue in life. My life rotated around my husband.
Yes. You were just happy he was home.
Exactly. But of course, there was the nightmares when my husband didn't come home, never picked my calls, doesn't want to be asked where he has gone. And, violence set in, the domestic violence. And many times, even now, trying to run away from this. it became a roller coaster. It was a cycle. Every day you settle this issue today, tomorrow it's another. It's going round and round. And getting to see messages from women and I remember reading messages from women that was really not very nice, things that just break you as a woman. And it was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. And not to be able to say, not wanting to say nasty things about my husband, but it was quite very, very tough.
Yes.
When you come back to that relationship again, always remember, it is never going to probably be as rosy as you think. But I was determined. I worked very, very hard. I prayed. I went to pastors. And he also at some point realized, I mean, there was a point where it was a breaking point for me. When I just moved out of the house, I was pregnant with my second child. Decided to pick my daughter Neema. And unfortunately, he was so close to Neema that Neema wouldn't imagine living without the daddy. It was impossible.
Yeah.
And so I moved out with my Neema and, of course, my pregnancy, because I had been beaten at that particular time, really, and I'm pregnant. So, but his mother was, God rest her soul in eternal peace. That woman was a wonderful woman. My mother-in-law was a lovely lady. She actually was very categorical and would tell my husband, "You will not bring any other woman to my house. I only know Gladys. You brought her to me. You took us to Kitale." Who in fact, he would ask my husband, "Who actually took us there? We didn't know even those places. You are the one who took us there. You are going to be stuck there.
Yeah.
We are not, no one is coming to my home apart from Gladys."
Wow.
And so she even looked for me herself when I had gone and ensured that Mwangi came back.
Yes.
And of course, Mwangi tried to call me that time. I wasn't picking calls. Neema was devastated. She would tell the school principal. I mean, this class teacher noticed there was something wrong with the child.
Yeah.
Eventually, they called me and said, "This child is really traumatized. She's going through a very difficult time." They called Mwangi. Mwangi said, "I have refused to pick his calls."
Wow. Wow.
They eventually made us, talk.
Yes.
And we eventually
Got back
together.
Yes.
Eventually, my baby boy was born. John was born. And he actually changed. For a reason or another, after that, Mwangi was a different person.
Yes.
He now started being the family man that I'd always looked forward to as a wife.
Yes.
He became responsible. He would even ensure that my car is well serviced, the children's school fees is paid. Initially I was the one taking care of school fees, rent, everything.
Yeah.
But this time he became very responsible.
Yes.
He would do everything that needed to be done.
Wow.
Unfortunately, a year later, tragically, one evening, we received this call. Just when it was his habit every evening to call when he's coming home, just to say, "I'm on the way coming home," and then he would speak to the children. So this particular day he calls and he says, "Let me speak to the children." He speaks to the children, and for a reason or another, a sister of his had been there during the day. And she had said something that, I said, so-and-so had a dream about this. I mean, it wasn't something nice. And he told me, I've always told you. I mean, he never listened to, like, things that were always going to be negative. And, he never liked it.
Yeah.
So, and I told him, I don't want to, I'm still too young to be a widow, so you better listen. But little did I know that 20 minutes later I was going to be that widow I was telling him I don't want to be. Because 20 minutes later, a phone call came. My husband had died in a car accident along Thika Road. That the long and short of it is that I went and found Mwangi had gone. That's when there was a turning point in our lives. We no longer had Mwangi. It was tough. We had thought now our relationship had become better. Our marriage was working. Even I remember my sister Jane was, saying the way Mwangi was so loving to his children, and he was always around his children and his family. Then this happens. Yeah. It was a tough time for us. Yeah. Very difficult, especially for the children. It was hard. Catherine, it was hard.
Yeah. And you say it in the book. You actually describe even that beautiful season, the 1 year after your son was born, just how Mwangi transformed into this dream man, this dad who was present, affectionate, reasonable, responsible, exactly as you've described him. Yeah. So I didn't see his death coming in the book. I actually did not. I said, oh my God, no, just when he had become the man that, you needed him, and you and the kids needed him to be. And you proceed to give us the lessons. What I'll do is the people will have to buy the book so that you get to read what happened, what are the lessons, because the only one I want us to touch on, even in the interest of time, is when he passed on, and it was a struggle, because then you looked back at everything as you shone the light on yourself. And all along still, you have work. So you're rising up the ranks. You got this diplomat position in South Africa, and that in itself was something else altogether. Right. But the thing that, before we go, that I think you need to speak to the audience about is the awareness you came to. So during your healing process, so you are broken in different stages in life, and then you've lost your husband, and you come to the awareness of the things you allowed that perhaps you shouldn't have. The healing, the grieving, we can't cover all of that. There's this book, she will tell us how to get it. But I need you to speak about the value and the importance of just being self-aware of what you're allowing or blocking. Absolutely. Could you just speak to that as we wind up?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Catherine. Yeah, as after the death of my husband, I had to sit down, and I thank God for friends that came in and people who came in, and the church actually. Oh, I have a wonderful church. They came through. I never had the time of loneliness because there was always somebody to walk the journey with me. Yeah. So I had a time of self-evaluation. You have to go back from the beginning. Ask yourself, where did the rain start beating me? Remember when I grew up, I was this strong girl. I could stand up for myself. I could tell off anybody. I knew what I liked and what I didn't like. And I think where the rain started beating me was when I allowed myself to get into a relationship without considering myself first. Is it meeting my needs? What is it need for me? Always remember, what is the need for you before you get into a relationship? Even a friendship, even if I was to be a friend to Catherine, what value addition is my friendship with Catherine?
Exactly, yeah.
Am I always the one doing everything? Is it reciprocal? Yeah, and like in diplomacy, we always talk about reciprocation. You're nasty to me, I'm nasty to you. You're kind to me, I'll be kind to you.
Yeah.
As much as we are Christians, we always say we always do good. But I think we need to walk with wisdom. As much as we want to live, I think the Bible allows us to become wise. Yes. Because we are told to be as wise as a serpent. But as gentle as a dove. Yeah. Gentleness does not mean foolishness. It means walking with wisdom. It means you're gentle, yes, but you're able to put your foot down when it comes to issues that are going to be damaging to you as a person. If a relationship is not going to work for you, you have no business getting into that relationship, and it's okay to cut it off. Now, it was a time of realization for me, looking back my career. What could I have been if I had not probably gotten into this relationship? Looking back, by the way, I think I was going to get into politics at some point. I was already a politician in campus, remember? And I was a very vocal one, by the way. In fact, I remember when I was in university, people used to actually ask me whether I'm going to contest as soon as I finish university.
Wow.
But where did I lose that focus? At some point, relationships. Actually, put me down.
Yeah.
I wasn't now focused on what I wanted in life.
No.
I was only focused on impressing someone or being liked. Again, looking at yourself, always ask yourself, why do I crave to be affirmed? Why do I crave to be liked? What is it that I am lacking that, sometimes we go out of our way to try and be nice to people so that they can like us. You even do things, not because you want to do it, but so that you can get that affirmation, so that somebody can be able to like you. I think that's where I went wrong as a person. And not only with my relationships with the men, but even my relationships with girlfriends as well. People took advantage of me. I mean, people take advantage of you if you're not able to actually you become a people pleaser. I realized I was a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I had to go out of my way to be liked. Love me, like me, please. Being needy. You are actually so needy.
Yeah.
And that is the greatest undoing and the greatest disfavor to ourselves. We need to realize that we are enough. We are good as we are. We are talented and endowed differently from everybody else. And we are unique in our own way.
Yeah.
And so just identify that unique thing about yourself and start building on it. Are you a writer? Do you sing? Are you an encourager? Are you somebody who just, is able to easily interact with people and just bring happiness around?
Yeah, like who are you?
Who are you, yes.
Yeah.
What's your purpose in life also?
Yeah.
Refocus yourself. What is your purpose? Why were you brought into this world? And start focusing on that.
Yes.
And now surround yourself with people who actually are going to bring out that best you.
Yes.
Not people who are going to pull you down. No, I'm not saying that you should not be able to accept criticism. No, criticism is very important, but constructive criticism. And don't accept criticism from your enemies because they will never say anything good about you anyway.
Yeah.
Criticism should come from people who actually want the very best for you. And so as a person, that is where I started looking back.
Right.
Who are the people that I need around me?
Right.
Who are the people that will bring out the best in me? And how best can I also, start working out slowly. It can never be one day. It's one step at a time, one day at a time.
Yeah.
There are days you'll be very low, and there are days when you have the energy.
Yes.
When you have the energy,
yes,
do it. Play a game.
Yeah.
Visit other people. Speak to other people who are going through similar
same
experiences.
Things, yes.
And try and find solutions.
Yes.
Don't always be that, that person who is always self-pitying, always wanting to be...
Unajionea huruma all the time.
Yes. Always talking about putting yourself down. No, I had to realize that as a person. And that is what actually has brought me back to the realization of who I am, who Gladys is.
Yes.
What's the purpose of Gladys in life? Was it only about marriage? Right now, I'm not really focused. I would love to get married again, yes. it would be a nice thing.
Yes.
But if it's not coming, it's not going to kill me.
Come. You let it come. Don't say if it is not coming. I want it to come, because now you'll be fully, you're there, you're aware. It's beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. The neediness is not there. The codependence is not there.
Yes.
So you're more mature. You've learned. So you won't allow the same. So let it come. Don't say if it is not coming. You change those words. In your Nema. Yeah, Nema has agreed.
Actually, Nema is the one, you'll be very, very surprised that Nema, my daughter, has actually been telling me, like early this year, she told me, Mom, see, you have to come to Ibi. I'm like,
I agree. Now that Kamutu, before you even approach her, can you first buy this book so that you get to know the whole story? If you're watching and you're like, before you send her DMs, get this book, get reading this book. How can people find this book, Gladys?
Yeah, this book will soon be available in different bookshops, but we are working to see whether it can be on Nuria.
Okay.
It is already on Amazon.
Okay.
It is on Amazon, and very many friends outside the country have actually bought it, quite a lot.
Okay.
We also do it, we buy it. I mean, we can sell it, we can deliver it to you.
Yes.
So they can actually call me.
What number?
On 0722 699 548. That's my number. I will be able to facilitate.
Are you on social media?
Yes, I am on social
which
media.
Accounts?
My Facebook page is Gladys Some-Mwangi. Gladys Some-Mwangi is my name on Facebook. So actually most sales have happened on Facebook because I see a lot of reviews actually, and very many people reading and they're like, wow, I read this book. It spoke to me the entire period. In fact, I have like 3 people who have told me they're reading it for the 3rd time.
I read it twice. I read it 2 times. It is such a powerful book. I admire how open and vulnerable you are. I admire how, especially the truth about who your husband was, and also celebrating who he was also when he turned over a new leaf. Because you see, most people just leave the dark sides and have people just with that imprint that, wow, that guy, what's wrong with men? But you ended up also celebrating him.
Absolutely. He was a lovely guy. I mean, at the end of the day, we all have our weaknesses. We all have our strengths. And probably, he was also growing as a man. And he had to go through whatever he needed to go through or do the things that he did to be able to get out of it. And so I am happy with Mwangi because he eventually realized he needed to become a father and a husband. So I celebrate him even in death. Many times, those people who follow me on Facebook see that I really, in fact, most of the time I used to speak so many good things about Mwangi. Some of them probably don't even have not seen the other side of Mwangi, and they would need to buy that book to be able to see the other side of Mwangi. Because Mwangi was also a man full of wisdom. He was a man who actually, I would say, probably I was attracted to him because he had similar characteristics as my father. He was a wise man. And he also, no wonder, he also had quite a lot of friends as politicians. And many politicians, in high places. And it was courtesy of him, actually, that I even ended up getting probably my appointment to go to South Africa, because it was through his friends that I was able to actually eventually get
that appointment.
Exactly. So I would say, as much as you go through whatever you go through in your marriages, always remember the wisdom that God has given you as a woman. Don't tear your man down, but build your man. Even as you go through, I don't say tolerate violence or tolerate disrespect, but what role are you playing as a woman? What role are you playing to
Experience the essence of hospitality at Holiday Inn Nairobi 2 Rivers Mall. Whether it's the comfort of a great family meal in our restaurant or the guarantee of a warm welcome that puts you at ease when you arrive, we strive to evoke irresistible smiles. From the laughter of colleagues celebrating to the comfort of our cozy rooms, our goal is to create joyful experiences for our guests. Join us at Holiday Inn Nairobi 2 Rivers Mall, where every stay is a cherished memory. For reservations and inquiries, email reservations@holidayinnairobi.com or call 0709 264 000.